happen to you.
For like 2 weeks once, and we'd have Kobe beef almost every day. It's a okay, we're home. So, there's some kind of dodgy taxi drivers. Well, I don't know if I'd say dodgy, but like taxi drivers that are not so nice in Japan. There are some. So like, for example, I get into the taxi and I ask them, can I give you the address? And most taxi drivers, good taxi drivers, right? What a good taxi driver will be like, okay, they stay where they are, and then they will ask you for the address, put in the address, then start the meter and pull away from the curb. What a dodgy taxi driver will do is he'll start the car and start the meter, go a little bit, then pull over, and then waste your time putting in the address. So, like, that gets him an extra, like, $2 or so for the whole trip. Probably like $1 to $2, maybe $2 extra, which is really dodgy, right? But it's like, whatever. But then, as he was driving, he took the wrong turn, and it was like a one-way street, and so he like tried to do, like, it was a really narrow street, so he had to do a U-turn in the middle of a really, really narrow street, which means like a 5-point turn, if not a 7-point turn, because it was so narrow. And so he wasted a lot of time doing that too. And then as we're pulling up to the house, the meter is at like 3,000, it's under 3,500, right? And I pull up thinking, okay, fine, it's still going to be under 3,500. But then he like, when I'm like, here is fine, he's like, pulls up and then like slows down and he's like, oh, is it here? I'm like, yeah, here. And he's like, oh, here? I'm like, yes, here. And then he stops the meter so that it purposely ticks over to the next dollar. And it was just like, he was just milking that. And I'm like, you're already getting a lot of money for this fare. Why are you being such a dick about it? So I was really annoyed with that taxi driver. But it's good to be home. How much battery was left on the live view? I think we're okay. The live view still has full battery. And the Max Oak hasn't died yet. Oh, you missed out on the trip? Yeah, we just came home fake controlling. Sorry. Bad luck, Ellie. They probably do that. What if he was trying to get you away from the creeper? I don't know, maybe. Which is like neighbors. So if that was the only thing that happened with the taxi driver, I would have been like, okay, whatever. But then the fact that like he took the wrong turn and then stalled finishing the meter, I was like, I feel like you're dodgy. Can you give him a review? No, I can't really give him a review, chef. I'd tell him off. Yeah, I've actually told taxis off in Japan before. I have actually told the taxi off before, but it was like, I've just like, for example, I've thrown down less money than what the actual fare has said, and then not bothered with the receipt, the tax receipt, and like, for example, if it's a trip that should only cost me like, I know for a fact that there's no way that this trip should cost more than 1,000 yen, and it cost more than 1,000 yen because they like went around all these wrong turns and stuff, I get really angry and I tell them, I'm like, this shouldn't have been more than 1,000 yen. This is really not acceptable. There has been one time where I threw down a 1,000 yen bill, which is more than I should have paid anyway. Threw down a 1,000 yen bill and just got out and left. I've done that before. We get those cab drivers around here occasionally too. Because I made home soup, yes. Is it well-known road or is it a small side street that he may not know well? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a small side street, but it's kind of like most taxi drivers, if they know they fucked up and they see that I've witnessed them fuck up, and like at the end, I had to tell him like, yeah, you have to turn left here, not there. Like the fact that I have to instruct him and everything. He has a GPS. You have a GPS. Your job is to drive. You should know how to use a GPS. Usually if a taxi's fucked up in Japan, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Or like they'll stop the meter early because they're like, I'm so sorry because I know that I cost you extra when it was my own fault, kind of thing. Like, for example, like after you could have seen on the GPS, right? You could have seen on the GPS, right? I'm pretty close, and it's about the same distance of how I fucked up. So this is where I'll end the meter. Especially after I said here, I said koko hen desu, and he's like, oh, here, and I'm like, yeah, here. Like the fact that I have to stay here like 2-3 times, it's like, that's obviously you just trying to milk money. I'll call the cab company and probably report him to it. It's just really small things, chef. Like, in the end, it probably only costs like $2 extra, $2 to $3 extra, and it's such a minuscule thing. And it's like not like outright abuse. It's not like outright being completely incompetent. It was just like a small, you know. Had a taxi driver in neighbor, thank you for the cheers. Cab driver in Mandalay, Colombia, who get completely lost on their way to hotel, took like an extra half an hour to get there. Ouch. And how much did that cost you though? Because the thing is, like, you know, an extra half an hour lost in Tokyo means like an extra like $50. Thanks, neighbor, for the cheers. Do you tip there? No, we don't. LA Cat, no tipping. Strategic, honest mistakes. Exactly. Exactly, Quaneth. I farmed those bits while you were in the cab. Thanks, neighbor. Taxi always asks which way. Yeah, honestly, I was kind of tired, so I was kind of like... So I wasn't really paying attention. But then when we were getting close and he went up a hill, I was like, wait, what the fuck? Where are you going? And I realized he'd taken the wrong turn. If the taxi tried to not use the tax meter and could triple the price, you have to be careful if they're telling the driver to turn on the taxi meter. Yes, Mr. Flatline, that happens in Thailand as well. Happens in Thailand. No tipping, but there is table charge, yeah. Taxis in Canada do the same, where they cover the meter, or they don't show the meter. when I went to Thailand with Barbie and Kat, the place that we had to go, right, was here. We were here, and it was literally a straight line. It would have taken like 8 minutes walk and like 2-minute taxi, right? Like not even 2-minute taxi. It was literally go in a straight line and you're there. All a taxi had to do was go straight, right? It would have cost us like $1.20. So I was like, fuck it, let's jump in a taxi, save us 10 minutes of walking, and catch a taxi, because a taxi will go straight. Taxi picks us up, obviously sees we're foreigners, goes a complete wrong way. So instead of going straight, he goes and takes a left. And I'm like, no, it's back there, it's back there. And then he does like this, he's like, well, what are you talking about? What? I'm like, I know you're just fucking with us, because I know that place that we're talking about is really famous. You can't be driving around here and not know it. Everyone knows it. He was obviously trying to take advantage of us. So then he turns left instead of going straight. And then it's like a really busy road. So to do a U-turn, he has to do all these little side turns. So he does a U-turn. And I'm like, fuck this shit. Fuck it. We're getting out. Right? And so basically, in what should have been from us going here to here, saving a 10-minute walk by doing like a 2-minute